Jax Teller from Sons of Anarchy is one of the most compelling characters ever brought to life on television. Over the course of 7 seasons, he would grow into a fantastic anti-hero full of depth and complexity. But is the first episode of season 2 really the birth of Jax, the character that he would become? That's the question we're going to explore in today's video. Like, subscribe, and let's get into it. This episode in particular features multiple dynamics of the Jax Teller character that will continue to develop and evolve over the course of the series. Today we're going to explore some of those characteristics as they're prevalent in this premiere episode of season 2. We'll start with the Clay versus Jax dynamic. Tension between these two is palpable throughout the episode, starting with the opening scenes negotiating that IRA deal, all the way to the end when it's Bobby's party and there's that awkward salute. We quickly learn that it stems back from Jax knowing the truth about who actually killed Donna. He's not being particularly shy about his displeasure about it. While he's not telling the other club members why, he's not hiding his combative attitude towards Clay and Tig. This is most clear during the one-on-one scene between Jax and Clay, where Jax just directly confronts him about Donna's death, and how Clay plans to navigate setting up somebody for Opie to get retaliation on. The line that stands out to me most in this scene is when Jax looks at Clay and says something to the effect of, "Whoever you decide to put this on, make sure that they deserve to die. Because the guy who really killed Donna
is out there sharing a beer with her husband."
Chilling. We saw these two butt heads a little bit throughout season 1, but it wasn't this direct, and it certainly wasn't about anything that holds this much weight. It's one thing for Jax to ask Clay if it's a smart move to rebuild the gun factory, or to say that he doesn't agree with patching over the Devil's Tribe and just leaving them there to deal with the Mayan problem. But for Jax to accuse his stepfather and club president of conspiring to kill another member and killing their wife by mistake, that's a level of conflict we have not seen between these two throughout the show so far, and it's just one of many conflicts that we're going to have between the two of them over family, the club, and the gavel. We also get a look into the birth of Jax as the leader. Taking charge of the IRA deal is really the first time that we see Jax the decision maker. Outside of when Clay was in holding and we got that fun exchange between he and Gemma in the police station, Jax didn't demonstrate authority like this. We've seen him advocate at the table for things, we've seen him lobby for things, but not act as decision maker. That's Clay. But in this opening scene, it's more than that. The meeting starts with Clay and the IRA doing the talking. Clay is showing his displeasure, and you can understand it. Not just because he's the type that wants to have the upper hand in any conversation that he's gonna have, and he doesn't have it here. Also, think about his role in the gun business from the beginning. This is essentially his entire life's work, and he's being demoted. Rather than a 60% partner, they're now a 20% partner. And what's possibly worse than that is that they're being relegated to what he considers errand boys. And when the boys come together to discuss this, he asks Jax's opinion, and Jax doesn't give it. He goes straight to the Irish and negotiates the deal himself on behalf of the club. He gets them a bigger cut and retains a portion of their distribution territory, and when the IRA agrees to it, he defiantly looks at Clay and says,
"Call a vote, Prez."
This kind of becomes the way that Jax negotiates at his level of authority as the responsibility grows in the series. He thinks through the plan, sets it all up in motion, and then sort of dictates it to the club as the best option available. He's often working with more information than what he can share and trying to balance what's best for the club long term and what keeps them alive short term. And his decision-making process looks kind of like this. He thinks, he doesn't share, he goes right into action, then he catches the club up later. This moment is also big for how he leads the club in the macro sense. Pushing the club forward with guns is an area he doesn't want to be in, but he knows there's no way to get them out of guns in this moment with Clay at the head of the table. And despite his issues with Clay, personally, he's operating from the mindset of what's best for the club. And it's not just with the Irish. It's the same way that he tries to protect the club from the Mayan blowback after Opie carves the Anarchy symbol into that guy's chest after killing him. Jax makes this call on his own, covering up the symbol but then going a step further. He dumps the body holding up 9 fingers, ensuring that when the Mayans see it, they blame the Niners, and they don't suspect the Sons. That's not a plan that was agreed to by the club. That was Jax making a call. Was it the right call? We'll find out later. But it's a call that he made on his own and believed would lead to the best outcome for the club. And as it always seems to be with Jax, there's layers to that strategic decision. Finally, we start to see some glimpses of Jax the Manipulator. As mentioned before, throughout the series, Jax keeps his cards close to the vest, or close to the cut. He doesn't share what he's thinking or all of the information that he's actually working with. Sometimes that's not even his fault. And he often decides that he knows what's best and manipulates the situation and those around him based off of what he believes is best for them. In this episode, it's most prevalent with Opie. He decided that the best thing for Opie was to lie to him about who actually killed Donna. He decides it's best for Opie not to know that it was an inside job gone wrong, and he takes it a step further to convince Piney, Opie's dad, that this is the best thing for Ope. He even works out a deal with Deputy Hale to keep their suspicions to themselves, and that relationship starts to get interesting as well. As much as Hale hates the club, he and Jax are really starting to find some common ground. It's easy to see how they could be setting up a mutually beneficial relationship. A new age Clay and Unser. And that's going to continue throughout this second season, and as it does, Jax isn't letting the club know. Jax Teller is a very complex character throughout the series with real flaws as well as really strong positive traits. It's a great balance in the way he thinks, the way he operates, the way he comes to and carries out the decisions that he makes on behalf of himself, the club, or his family. They start to form a pattern that seems to really begin in this episode. What do you think? Let me know in the comments if you think that Jax is right as it relates to Opie. Is it best for Opie to think that someone else killed Donna and get that false sense of retribution, avoiding that pain of the extreme betrayal? Or would it have been better for Jax to confide the truth in his best friend and just deal with the fallout? Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me on this binge of Sons of Anarchy, which you can do by catching up on the podcast right here.